Good Tuesday morning to you, everyone. I'm going to do a quick forecast discussion here. Let's make sure our audio is good before we get going. Sounds good. So, good deal. Let us know in chat where you're watching from this morning. Wanted to jump on, test some new graphics I've been working with. Still working on some new stuff for one of our other channels. So, I thought I'd jump on and do a quick, more of a graphics and radar test than anything. But again, hope you're doing good this morning. I'm going to talk tropics, going to talk severe weather, and going to talk heat. And it's very cool. I've actually got chat built into my streaming program now. So a lot of updates here on the studio side. Kind of rearranged some microphones, rearranged some monitors. So like I said, just more or less a test live stream here this morning since we've got some active weather to talk about. So let's look at the tropics first. We've got our potential tropical cyclone 1. It's a mouthful. It was something new the National Hurricane Center has just started doing here recently. Basically, they used to call these Invest, and they still do, but they're able to start issuing forecast products on the systems before they actually are named. So it doesn't have to be a tropical depression or a tropical storm for them to go ahead and start issuing forecasts. That's what happened yesterday. So again, potential tropical cyclone 1, or probably will be soon tropical depression number 1, and then likely tropical storm Alberto by probably tomorrow. So this forecast track is for 7 a.m. tomorrow morning here on the first dot, and again, it is supposed to be a tropical storm by then, and likely staying south of Texas, moving into Mexico, so not a lot of impacts in the lower 48. You can see the visible satellite. You can see the big swirl of clouds there right in the middle. We'll look at this over on the Tropical Tidbits website again here in a second. Look at a little bit closer view, but you can see some of the low-level clouds back here to the west, swirling into the system northwest to southeast. So again, trying to get its active together, but it's not going to have a whole lot of time to develop before it moves inland over Mexico. So again, up to the north, coastal Texas, all the way down to the Brownsville area, Corpus Christi. You guys are already seeing some surge issues from that onshore flow. A lot of rainfall being on the north side of that system from, again, the Corpus Christi area all the way down to the Mexico border. Right now, not too bad. That's, again, your visible satellites. We've got some partly cloudy skies, some showers moving up in the Victoria, Texas area and near the Seadrift area. But again, nothing crazy going on right now. Nothing crazy expected. Again, this is going to be a rather low-end tropical system as it moves onshore. Likely sustained winds around 50 to 55 max as it moves inland there over Mexico. So again, that's a quick look at the tropics this morning. We do have a very large area of a slight risk, a level 2 risk, where you see that yellow shade of color from the panhandle of Oklahoma today all the way through Kansas, Nebraska, northwestern Iowa, and up into Minneapolis and Minnesota. We do have some heavy thunderstorms going on this morning, a couple special weather statements out near the Hibbing, Minnesota area for some gusty winds, but nothing severe at this time. And then I did notice we had a flash flood warning that I guess just expired at the top of the hour because I see that disappeared off our screen here. Yep. Southeast of the nope, it's still there. Southeast of Grand Forks in northwestern Minnesota, we've got a flash flood warning that, let me scoot that over, goes until 9:30 for the Crookston area in Minnesota. So again, let's look at the severe weather for today. Let's look at our individual Storm Prediction Center outlooks for today. And we'll see exactly what they're talking about for tornado probability, rather low. Not impossible, but rather low. There's your hail threat for today, so you do have about an average hail threat for any severe weather, and there's your damaging wind threat. So again, mainly a damaging wind, large hail threat in that slight risk, and again, just a level 2 out of 5. We do have a marginal risk up in portions of the Northeast as well, the Great Lakes area, Detroit, over to Pittsburgh, Erie, Pennsylvania, up to the Buffalo area, all the way up into northern Maine. We do have again, level 1 out of 5 for a few heavy thunderstorms, and there's a heavy storm that just moved through the Buffalo area just a little bit ago. Looks like we've got a flash flood warning up for the Niagara Falls area for a big area that had a lot of rainfall earlier this morning. That flash flood warning goes until 11:45. That's Central Time, 12:45 Eastern. So again, there's your rundown for the country today. Let's jump over to our models, and as we do that, let's see there. So one thing we're going to look at really quick, specifically here on the southeast, a lot of heat, and a lot of the northeast is getting a lot of heat. So what I'm going to jump into is our models first, and I've got some bookmark save that we're going to go into here. We're going to look at the GFS first on that tropical system on the landfall of Texas. Well, how much rain do we expect? Well, again, a lot of rainfall there. It's Corpus Christi all the way down to the Brownsville area. So this is the GFS computer model, and this goes through Sunday. So you can see we've got areas, again, Corpus Christi all the way down to Brownsville, 5+ inches of rain. There's some 8-inch numbers right in here as well. So again, if we have any major issues in South Texas, it's going to be from the rainfall more than the wind. I don't expect a whole lot of wind issues from this tropical system in Texas, but again, some flooding will be likely as we go throughout the rest of the week and possibly all the way into the weekend time frame as well. As we flip over to the U.S. view on the GFS, we are looking at the heat now. So notice our big heat ridge here centered in the east. There's our developing tropical system down in the Bay of Campeche today. As we go forward in time through today, notice how that gets a little bit stronger there in the Gulf. Notice how our big heat ridge just continues to be centered from North Georgia all the way up into Maine, a big 594 ridge of high pressure, a lot of heat, a lot of sinking air causing that, again, widespread heat. Watch what happens here. It actually gets stronger as we get into tonight and tomorrow. Notice that 597 level showing up there near D.C. all the way up to the New York City area. It's a dangerous heat for you guys in the Northeast. A lot of you guys up there don't even have air conditioning, and I think that's just crazy. I had an aunt that used to live up in Northeast Ohio, and a lot of the vehicles that they would buy up there don't, like, AC is an option. Air conditioning doesn't come standard, or at least used to. Y'all let me know if that's changed now in the comments. But a lot of your businesses and restaurants and even homes up there, they don't have air conditioning. So this is a dangerous heat wave again for you guys up in the Northeast. Down here in the Southeast, it's hot, but it's nothing unheard of for this time of the year. We've got highs in the 90s to possibly up around 100. Heat index values, 105 to 110. Again, it happens every year down here in the Southeast. So it's hot, but nothing abnormal. Notice how that heat ridge kind of shifts south as we get into Friday, Saturday time frame. So again, building heat in the Southeast, maybe a little bit less hot in the Northeast. There's our tropical system still trying to do something down in Texas and south of Texas into Mexico. And then as we head into Sunday, this is Sunday morning. Notice a little storm system coming into the northern plains and the Great Lakes area. That'll beat down that heat for you guys and bring a little chance of precip as well, maybe some strong storms to the Great Lakes region as we get into Sunday into Monday. And notice we've lost that big heat ridge again we had in the Northeast. So heat really comes down as we get closer to the weekend. Southern part of the country, again, about normal on temperatures. And then as we go way out into next week, this is kind of voodoo land. This is like June 26th, next Wednesday time frame. Notice in the Gulf, maybe another little tropical system that we'll have to watch. And again, this is just the GFS. This is just one run. So this will change a million times between now and next week. But notice maybe a little frontal boundary sneaking in from the north. A little low pressure there over the Great Lakes area. And then whatever might try to develop in the Gulf kind of gets sucked north into that weakness. And notice, again, we may have some tropical mischief there in the northern Gulf. Again, this is voodoo land, so take this with a grain of salt. But if this is anywhere close to right, we might have a landfalling tropical system maybe in the Big Bend area, Florida next week. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll keep doing these live updates each morning and kind of look at the models. This run of the GFS kind of takes that across South Georgia, back out in the Atlantic near South Carolina, and then believe it or not, it kind of tries to re-strengthen that as it curves back north into the Delmarva area. So again, take that with a grain of salt. We're way out at June 30th. This is going to change a million times. So again, don't think we're going to have a landfalling tropical system in the Northeast by the end of the month, because we don't know that. This is way too far out to be talking specifics on that. But just kind of fun to look at this far out. Look at trends. We look at model trends. We'll look at rainfall amounts. We'll look at things like that. And again, so far, that's just one look of the GFS. So we're going to play this through pretty quick. And again, there goes our tropical system landfalling into Mexico. And as we get forward in time, notice how we have another little tropical system trying to form there in the Gulf of Mexico right there. Really weak, and then it slides back up into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. And then again, if this was right, it's trying to bring it into the Northeast by the end of the month. But again, so far out, we got to take that with a grain of salt. Last thing we're going to look at on the GFS is your temperature departures. So this really does a good job showing the heat and how much hotter or cooler it is than average. So notice out in the west, much cooler. We've had snowfall and winter storm warnings up in Montana this week. 20 degrees below normal there in Montana. How about 10 to 15 degrees above normal from the Great Lakes all the way over to the northeast? And again, it's hot in the southeast, but check it out. It's about normal for this time of the year. You see those -5s all the way up to 5. So again, that's just basically telling you that temperatures are just about average for this time of the year. Notice Northern Plains, you guys get a cool down as we go into Thursday. And then Northeast, you guys are still baking 5 to 10 degrees above average as we get into Friday and Saturday. And then as we get into Sunday, the heat comes down just a little bit as promised. Again, we're a little bit warmer than average still in the Northeast, but 5 degrees above average isn't like we're having the 10 to 15 above average like we are today and tomorrow up there. And then there comes our little system into the Great Lakes area as we get into next week. That will bring a cool down and a big shot of cooler air coming into the Northern Plains. Again, if this is right, towards a week out. This is about the middle of next week. And notice that would be a big relief in the heat dropping into the mid-south area, possibly a late June cold front. I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. So again, this is suggesting, all the way down into like Memphis and Paducah, Kentucky, 10 to 15 degrees below normal on high temperatures. I don't know. We'll believe that again if it stays on the models. This may be completely gone by tomorrow morning. So again, just kind of a fun thing to look at. For you guys baking up in the Northeast, it is suggesting by the end of the month we have a big cool down. Temperatures 10 to 20 degrees below average up there. So again, we're going to go in locally here for a minute for you guys that may be watching in the Southeast, North Alabama, Southern Middle Tennessee, since that's kind of our backyard here. We're going to look at some forecast temperatures, and then we'll wrap this thing up as well. This is going to be our, what is this? The model blend for Muscle Shoals, Alabama, kind of backyard here from the studio. Again, this is taking all the models and kind of averaging them together on temperatures for the next, 10 days? Yeah. Yep, it's going to be hot. We're in the middle of summer, so what do you expect? But notice how our heat around here really maxes out Saturday into Sunday. We'll look at the National Weather Service forecast, official forecast here in a minute. But again, that is the Northwest Alabama Regional Airport highs. So again, heat's a little bit lower today, tomorrow. Starts bumping back up Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we'll be back near 100 for the weekend. Lows in the mid-70s, so just muggy. As we look at, who do we want to look at next? Let's look at Savannah, Tennessee, right up the road a little bit. And much of the same, upper 90s this weekend, lower to middle 70s for lows, and then the heat tries to come back down just a little bit as we get into next week. This is Lexington, Parsons, Tennessee, same thing, mid to upper 90s this weekend. And let's look at the National Weather Service official forecast. So this is the official numbers from the Weather Service. A little bit cooler than the models, but we'll have to see if they'll bump the temperatures up as we get into the weekend. There's your Weather Service numbers for Savannah again, up near 100 Saturday and Sunday. And then here's your GFS 10-day temperature for Northwest Alabama. So again, you can see heat kind of goes down today, tomorrow. I don't know about the 81 on Wednesday. That seems way low to me. And then notice into next week, 28th, 29th, Friday, Saturday, a little cooler. And then look what comes right behind that. Yep, warming right back up to near 100 for July 4th holiday, or July 3rd. So again, that's going to wrap it up this morning. Just mainly checking out some graphics here, checking out some new web stuff that we found yesterday and trying to see how they look on the stream. We'll be working on graphics again kind of most of the day today, and we'll be going back, checking audio on this and checking video and all that good stuff. Did want to show you last but not least, there's your official National Hurricane Center track again for the tropical system that is developing. So there's our current track, landfall around Wednesday night into Thursday morning as a tropical storm. Not a hurricane. Don't expect this to become a hurricane at all. And there's your current satellite image. And again, it's just kind of a big swirl of mess down there right now. Does not have a low-level center of circulation, so that's why we do not have a name or even a tropical depression designated just yet. And there's your close view showing, again, those low-level clouds kind of swirling around there in the Bay of Campeche. And you can see the thunderstorm towers blowing up there, especially south of the center. We'll have to see if that can get wrapped around today and develop a little bit more. But again, wanted to keep this at 15 minutes. We've been going right at 15 minutes. So again, we'll probably do another one of these kind of as a test run tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. And until then, we'll be here in the studio watching everything. And you hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. And thank you, as always, for tuning in.